Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. As we're getting ready to start the new financial year, CFOs and financial leaders typically have one thing on their minds, and that's how they can save money and increase value over the next 12 months. One answer to this question is accounts payable data analysis and the benefits that it can bring. So today we're going to discuss how you can increase the value of your AP process and save money with automation and data analysis. On behalf of myself and the entire Yooz team, we'd like to thank our partners at Stratas for collaborating with us today on our webinar. I have a very special guest speaker with us today from the Stratas team, but before I introduce her, let's quickly go over some housekeeping updates. Now, this webinar is designed to be interactive, and we want to be able to answer any questions you might have. So you can use the chat box or the questions box here in your screen in the GoToWebinar platform. And at any time during the presentation, we'll see the questions popping up in real time. At the end, we'll take the time to answer those questions. And don't worry, if we don't have time to answer everyone's questions in our live webinar, one of our team members is going to be reaching out with you one-on-one to answer those questions. Just to test that everything's working well so far, if you can hear me, if you can see the screen, write us a quick hello in the chat box or tell us where you're listening from today. At the end of today's webinar, there's a quick survey that's going to pop up, and we'd love to hear back from our audience. So please take just a moment, fill it out, let us know how we did. And if you miss anything, we love to send around the replay or the recording of today's session so you can use it as a resource. You can then share it with your colleagues and your teammates. All right, let's quickly introduce ourselves. Let's turn on our cameras. I'm very excited today to have with us Rachel Lockley. Rachel is the P2P Solutions Director from Stratas. Rachel, if you could just introduce yourself for us.
Hi, yep, I'm Rachel. I look after all of the products that we have that relate to accounts payable automation.
Perfect. Really excited to have you on our webinar today. My name is Shelsea Adrian. I'll be your host. I'm the product evangelist at Yooz, and I'm an AP automation expert helping teams on their digital journey like Rachel. And so today we're really focusing on the financial year end, transitioning into the new year, and how automation data analysis as our focus today can really help your teams to achieve that efficiency. So first, I'm going to quickly introduce you so you have a background, know a little bit more about how we do, what we do, and how we're helping teams. And then I'll pass it over to Rachel to introduce Stratas before jumping into today's agenda. So let's quickly introduce, I'll start with Yooz. We were created 14 years ago now, back in 2010 in the cloud, and we're an adaptable, customizable AP automation solution helping teams globally around the world. We're now located in over 40 countries around the globe, and we're expanding quite rapidly because the concept behind the solution is that we really wanted to open up the door to any company, no matter the industry you're in, no matter the size, to take advantage of advanced technologies and to automate your P2P process. And so the concept is really that it's only based on the number or the volume of documents processed through the platform, and that's it. So this scalable plan has expanded quite rapidly. We're really only dedicating our time to this one focus, which is document automation. And we're really invested into technology and innovation. It's part of our DNA at Yooz. So we're reinvesting a quarter of our income back into this development. We're producing lots of white papers, scientific publications. I love hosting these webinars and doing masterclasses to really educate the community about technologies. Like I mentioned, the global presence that we have here at Yooz, we're now available in over 40 different countries around the globe. We work with about 5,000 different clients, and within these clients, we work closely with accounting firms. So all in all, more than 200,000 companies are processing their documents through Yooz, and we've processed over 200 million documents through the Yooz platform, which is where we get this big database to fuel the system. Now, this next slide quickly is just to see some of the different clients. You can see the diversity in the different companies that are automating their accounts payable processes. And we work with different companies, so larger companies that are streamlining their processes across different entities located in different countries using different languages, different currencies, and also SMEs, smaller size companies that are maybe only processing 50 to 100 documents per month. So the idea is that the Yooz system is going to adapt to your current project, and the two tools with the ERP systems that we work with, we now connect with over 250 different tools, and we're working closely with these accounting firms to make sure that we're putting back that effort into the tool, adding in new features and functionalities every couple of months back into the Yooz system. So now that you know a little bit more about Yooz, the process, who we're working with, and how the tool works, let's pass it over to Rachel. She's more than happy to give us a quick introduction about Stratas. And so we have a couple slides here. Let me put it on your first slide for you. Pass it over to you.
Thanks, Shelsea. So Stratas are digital transformation specialists, and we're based in the UK. So our core being is helping businesses transform processes with automation. So the platforms that we deliver can cover many different business processes, but today we're going to be focusing on accounts payable processing, who we are and why we choose to deliver the Yooz solution within our portfolio. And the next slide is just a small snapshot of some of the customers that we have helped with their accounts payable processes. We've got customers in varying industries using all sorts of different ERP or finance systems and very different volumes across the broad spectrum. They're all very different, but they've all benefited from one of the accounts payable solutions that Stratas has helped them to deploy.
Perfect. I think that gives everyone a great kind of introduction and background to Stratas and to Yooz. So we're going to turn our cameras off. Let's get into today's agenda, as we have a lot of really interesting topics to dive into today. All right, so let's go over our agenda. And thanks again, Rachel, for joining us today. I know she has a lot of experience and expertise that she's going to be sharing with us into today's subject. As we're moving into the new financial year, we're talking today about transforming our accounts payable processes with automation technology and data analysis. And with a recent Arden Partners study, they found that best-in-class enterprises were 73% more likely to measure their key AP metrics. So in this webinar, we're really taking a look and focusing on the 4 key AP data analyses that every organization should be able to easily and precisely access. Then we're going to go over some of the main challenges of manual AP data analysis. We're then going to discuss why complete P2P automation is vital for efficient and accurate data analysis, and how to increase the value of accounts payable and save money with P2P automation. I'm going to jump into a live demonstration of the Yooz AP automation tool to really show you and your team how automation and data analysis will help you to overcome these different challenges. We're going to take time at the end, like we mentioned, so please feel free, if you do have questions, feel free to write them down, and we'll take that time during our live Q&A session. All right, now that we have all of that out of the way, we want to get things interactive. So to kick things off, we want to launch our first poll question of the day. You're going to now see it popping up for you with different options, so feel free to participate. All right, we want to hear back from you. Why is AP reporting important for organizations to analyze? For you and your team, is it A, for cash flow management? Is it B, for efficiency? Is it C, for supplier relationship management? Is it D, payment and fraud risks? Or is it E, something else? So I see that that's launched on. Rachel, let's give them just a moment to respond back. Feel free to participate. I want to hear back from you, as I know you're working with a lot of different companies. Why would you, in your opinion, say AP reporting is becoming more and more important, especially as we're moving into this new financial year, for organizations to analyze?
Yeah, I mean, coming from that background of being a accounts payable or shared services manager, reporting is absolutely critical to be able to understand where you are, and the accounts payable team feeds that information to so many places within the business. It's really important that any reporting is agile. I know from my experience that certain days something particular is really important to look at, whether you're paying people on time, where you're buying certain things from. So the ability to have really flexible reporting, that if a hot topic comes up in the business, you have access in accounts payable to be able to manipulate data and look at it from all sorts of areas. So to have that live querying of all of the data is really, really important. It touches so many parts of the business, and obviously the overriding, certainly at year end, is accurate P&L reporting, and that's your reporting for your business performance for the year. If you haven't got half of the invoices in there, or things have been input into the your finance system incorrectly, it can have an impact on your financial results. So yeah, it's crucial for the business.
I'd have to agree. And I see now that the large majority of today's audience has now responded to our poll question. So let's now close it out and take a look at our results. It's quite interesting to see that we have a large number one response, which was A, cash flow management. And in second place at 33%, efficiency. So this kind of goes hand in hand with what you're saying with having that data to be more efficient. Let's now move into our next section, where we're going to talk about why AP reporting is becoming so important. So when we start questioning, why is AP reporting important for us, for our organizations to analyze? Some of us might realize that we haven't even ever really thought about the why behind this, but rather just ran our reports as we needed because it was maybe just part of our role or how it's always been done in the past. So let's start off with the main reasons behind the reports and analysis. And you can see the different phrases or keywords up on the board. Just a few of these whys, which we confirm from our listeners today with our poll question that answered in cash flow management, efficiency. Now, regular AP reporting helps businesses optimize cash flow and maintain good supply relationships by ensuring that the accounts payable process is working efficiently and that bills are paid on time. Reporting and analysis also helps those financial departments that are struggling during this year end to avoid making payment errors, reducing the risk of fraud. It's really the role of the AP department not to just key in the invoices and get them paid, but to monitor the financial health of our organization and detect areas needing improvement or ways of bettering business operations. So, Rachel, if you would like to discuss maybe one that you see up on the board or maybe a few reasons why AP reporting is so important. I know you have a personal connection as you have lots of past experience working in this field and in this position. So if you want to share with everyone maybe the top reason why it's important.
Yeah, so recapping on what I previously said in terms of the impact of accurate data being submitted to the finance system for the P&L and the overall reporting. I know something that I don't want to steal your thunder, but you're going to cover it in the live demo, and that is, sitting in the office shared services, I would often be visited by different people asking for different information. So someone's sitting at their desk and has a wondering place that they come to get the answer to that question, typically uses accounts payable. So, for example, head of procurement might come in one day and say, I need to know right now where we're buying stationery from across the business. So at the click of a few buttons, I was able to query that and be able to present them with a list of, maybe sometimes if it's an office with multiple branches, like 20, 30 suppliers that are being used for purchasing stationery. That starts to look at that and think, well, we're probably not getting the best price from any of these organizations because we're spreading our spend quite widely across certain profiles. So, another time it can be, have we made any donations anywhere, and when was the last time we did that? So the ability to query all of that information is really important. I'm a bit of an analyst at heart, so I used to sit and wait for those questions because I love to tap away and produce these reports. And I know you're going to show the live query in Excel and the way that if someone walks up to your desk and asks you that question, you can have the answers in real time at the click of a button.
Absolutely. Thanks, Rachel. I think as you're saying, you're an analyst at heart. You're going to love this next section as we're now going to really focus on the fundamental or the 4 key data analysis that your organization needs to monitor and why it's becoming so vital. And so let's start off. We do have 4. And when it comes to accounts payable data reporting, there are many different points to focus on, but we're just focusing on 4 today that we've identified from companies like yours who have automated their P2P process. So it's worth pointing out from the start that analytics based on AP data are produced through an automated process versus a manual one. And this is helping not only just the AP department, but other departments throughout the company to identify areas that need attention. For instance, the analytics that we're about to cover help the accounting department anticipate maybe upcoming cash flow challenges, allow the procurement department to detect a price increase and switch to maybe different terms or contracts, or signal when it's time to look for a different supplier. So these 4 key data areas or analyses include spend data analysis, payment data analysis, category AP data analysis, and cash flow analysis and forecasting. So let's start with the first area where we're talking about spend data analysis. This is one of the most popular important ways to use AP data, and it's the analysis of the data around how much you spend and what you're spending on. If you're able to measure what your organization is spending, you can manage what you're spending. And spend data analysis will reveal where you are paying too much and opportunities to negotiate with your top suppliers. It can compare what the spending looks like in different departments or branches of your organization. And spend data analysis also shows you your top suppliers by spend and how much you spend with them, giving you the power and information you need when trying to get greater value in your purchasing through negotiated terms, buying in bulk, or maybe price incentives. Now, when you have this data at the tips of your fingers to be able to share concrete figures with your suppliers, you empower your company's purchasing strategy. For example, maybe you have 2 different departments of your business spending on similar products or services, but one is paying more than the other. So spend data analysis can help you pinpoint this. Your team can then maybe replace the more expensive service or product with a different one, or possibly renegotiate your terms with that supplier. Now, on the other hand, spend data analysis can also help you with identifying purchases that don't turn out to be profitable or should be avoided in the future, such as inventory that's been maybe overstocked, that has low turnover rates. This allows you to see not only the number of purchases made, but how often you purchase your inventory to determine what your turnover rate is. Now, these are just a few ways spend data analysis allows you to use AP data to save you a lot of time and money. Next up, we have payment data analysis. This is another common accounts payable data analysis that can improve your bottom line. And what payment data analysis can do is measure the speed of turning invoices into payments. It will tell you when you receive an invoice, when the invoice is approved, and when a payment is scheduled, approved, and eventually received by your supplier. So if you can measure time from invoice to payment, you can manage it. Paying your invoices promptly can also help to eliminate and reduce late payment penalties while promoting those strong supplier relationships, leading to potential early payment discounts. You could even use it as a form of accounts payable predictive analysis, in which you can estimate how long invoice turnaround time will be for future purchases with both existing and new suppliers. Now, knowing this data is valuable to your business because it gives you information that can be used for negotiations as well, like we're talking about today. Say you know the invoice turnaround time for a particular supplier that you have, that allows you to be able to identify the bottlenecks in the process and where it is taking the most time to process your invoice and turn it into a payment. From there, you can tackle these areas and in turn speed up the process. This way, you can really guarantee that you're processing that payment on time and avoiding any late fees incurred. Next up on the list, we have our category AP data analysis, as maybe we could consider the most sophisticated of accounts payable data analyses. We have this category AP data analysis, which lets you group your accounts payable data. This means you can look at your organization's expenditures in new ways with the data that you have from current invoices. For example, you could sort your invoices by price range and see which purchases are of the highest value. This insight allows you to prioritize and plan around upcoming expenses. You also have category AP data analysis to really allow you to analyze your payment trends. For example, you can sort based on the due date category and see what your payment trends look like for that particular due date. With this level of analysis, there are no limits to how you can really think strategically about spend and be empowered to make further strategic financial decisions based on this data. And last on the list, we have cash flow analysis and forecasting. So when you have the right access to your AP data, you can create an accurate and detailed view of your cash outflow. The past spend data helps to identify trends that will allow you to move more accurately, to forecast your expenditures moving forward. And add to that whole list the accounts receivable data as well, and you have a complete picture of cash spend trends seasonally, quarterly, or based on specific factors. So if you can measure your cash forecast, then you're empowered to manage it. And improving the cash's position, the relationship to current liabilities will improve the organization's balance sheet liquidity. That's the power of accounts payable data. And so now that we've gone over these 4 key areas when it comes to accounts payable data analysis, let's now hear back from today's listeners. And we're going to now launch the second poll question. Feel free to participate. So Rachel and I, we want to hear back from you. Which of the 4 types of AP data analysis is currently the most important to your organization? You have A, spend data analysis, B, payment data analysis, C, category AP data analysis, or D, cash flow analysis and forecasting. If you have another key area of data analysis, especially when we're focusing on our accounts payable, feel free in the chat to say E, something else, and share with us. So I already see that there are some people responding back, so we'll give everyone a moment. I wanted to turn back to you, Rachel. I know you're an expert when it comes to helping different teams throughout this process and to automate, to incorporate digitalization. What would you say, because we're focusing on data analysis, if you had to choose overall, is the top kind of area that companies are focusing on today out of this list?
Yeah, I think cash flow is always, of course, important as a team for any business. So it's really important not to get financial surprises and using that information for really lessens those financial surprises, as I call them, that you might get when invoices are distributed through the business on paper. AP typically are then the last people to see them, so you can end up getting an invoice really late in the process, keying it onto the finance system, and then having to pay it really quickly. So you don't get that visibility, you don't get that the luxury of time to know that you've got to move money between accounts, etc. Me personally, spend data analysis is my favorite. Being able to understand who you're buying what from, being able to maximize any of those supplier relationships, get the best price for the product, consolidate who you're buying from. That's definitely, that's a big pile of data that you're filtering and you're analyzing. That's where I get excited. But from an importance perspective, certainly, nothing really beats that.
I think it's quite interesting what you're saying, because this goes right in line with today's audience. I can see the large majority has now responded. Let's now close it out and let's share the results. So we can actually see that the top response at 50% of today's audience saying A, spend data analysis, agreeing with Rachel. We also have in second place, tied at 25%, D, cash flow analysis and forecasting, and E, something else. So feel free if you would like to share in the chat. I currently don't see any comments yet, but we'd love to hear back from you. Thanks to everyone for participating. Let's now switch gears, and we're really focusing quickly here on the challenges of manual AP data analysis. So in this next section, let's go into talking a little bit more about these top challenges. Accounts payable data analysis can eliminate unnecessary costs and help our companies to save money, which really means that, like Rachel and I are saying, it's becoming a more important task, requiring us to invest in the tools that are going to help us to accomplish this advanced analysis. But if you don't have these tools at your disposition, let's talk a little bit more about the challenges that come with manual or heavily paper-based AP data analysis. Up on the board, we can see there's 3. The first challenge of analyzing our operations manually is that we have to compile our raw data. That starts with paper invoices. Collecting, keeping track of all of the paper invoices is the first part of that error-prone and manual-heavy process. A lot of time and attention is then needed to enter each piece of information in our data entry and then file each of these documents away every day, week, and month. And it doesn't stop there. Manual raw data collection means pulling data from multiple sources, including spreadsheets and documents, and that's only made worse by the additional time spent manually inputting all of the details from our paper invoices and documents. Unfortunately, no matter how hard we try in a manual process, the likelihood that we'll be able to really collect all of the raw data sources as a team, it's not a very high percentage. Companies will often end up with missing information, missing invoices and payments here and there, which creates incomplete data and creates a challenge for AP data analytics. So that kind of leaves our team left guessing or using data that maybe has holes in it, and low visibility leads to less accurate analysis. So with all that being said, I think we're now beginning to realize a little bit more about the importance of AP data analysis. It's not only helping financial leaders to make informed and strategic decisions, but also providing other departments, like we're saying, across the organization with insights as to how to allocate their resources more efficiently. So on this subject, Rachel, I know you have lots of experience, and so I want to hear back from you as an expert. What would you say, hearing back from different companies facing these pain points and challenges, what would you say is maybe the main challenge or the main challenges of manual and paper-heavy data analysis?
Yeah, thanks, Chelsea. I think that it could be any of these, and it's very different in different organisations. You know, thinking of the upcoming new financial year and having to close the previous year, all of these, having the invoices in the first place, having the accurate keying is really, really important. And I guess thinking back to my days of being an AP manager, I have a personal story which is kind of all of these things in their worst possible outcome. I had a situation where I worked for a construction company and we went on credit hold with the company supplying our structural steel for our office buildings we were building. So I put a call out to all of the project managers around the country and said, anyone who's got any invoices for this particular supplier, please send them through. We've gone on credit hold. A project manager in one of the branches opened a drawer, took out £750,000 worth of invoices that not only had created a purchase order for, they were literally just sitting in his drawer. So he got them to the AP team. We had to raise purchase orders, get the POs approved, put the invoices onto the finance system, and make payment for £750,000 all on the same day. In terms of visibility, incomplete data, timely data collection, that's about as bad as it gets, and had a massive knock-on to cash flow forecasting as well. So yeah, I have a horror story that was probably over 20 years ago that happened, and I will never ever forget that scenario.
I think that a lot of people listening today, if not everyone, can really relate to these challenges, especially hearing back real life experiences like this. I know maybe even some of our listeners have a similar scenario to what you experienced. And so now that we've really focused on the challenges of manual and paper heavy AP data analysis, let's dive further into why AP automation is vital for efficient and accurate data analysis and what concrete solutions can be put into place to kind of counteract these pain points and challenges that we're facing with these manual processes. So, according to the IFOL, the Institute of Financial Operations and Leadership, only 5% of AP departments are fully automated today. But the majority of finance leaders expect full automation of their AP processes within the next 1 to 3 years. Now, as a general rule, solutions that incorporate artificial intelligence or other advanced technologies like OCR, machine and deep learning ensure a high degree of automation for invoice and payment processing and also for other core AP activities in businesses. Now, these technologies are really vital in helping our AP department and financial functions reduce the amount of redundant manual work and save companies time and money. Intelligent AP automation is not just a matter of becoming more efficient, but also being a way to remain competitive in a time of remote working, talent challenges, and inflationary pressures. But what is the role when it comes to data analysis? So here we have the types of data AP automation provides. And when you're utilizing advanced and powerful AP automation that's powered by artificial intelligence, the accuracy of the data that you're able to pull from each invoice and document is greatly increased. That means the amount of incomplete or missing data you're working with is reduced drastically. And some of the types of data you need to be able to accurately manage, to be able to access, include timeline data. This allows you to analyze historical document information like dates, time that users are spending throughout the process, and the different stages throughout the workflow. For example, the review of the documents, the approval steps, and so forth. You can use this timeline data to optimize the time it takes to process invoices from the receipt all the way to the payment. And for instance, you can spot bottlenecks in your current AP workflows and enhance that process. Then we have document export data, which helps you to thoroughly examine every export made from your solution. This makes it easier to track exports. You can organize this by supplier, by entity, time period, or by document type. Then we have the header data information. This lets you create analyses based on the header information from each document or invoice that you import from your suppliers. And with this data, you can get an overall and detailed view of your expenses broken down for you by supplier or organizational unit, and you can then compare them over time. And finally, when we have up on the board, we can see document line level data. This is what we're referring to is when you can analyze this data from your purchase lines, like purchase requisitions, purchase orders, to create insightful analyses. Without an AP automation solution, extracting this information can be very time consuming and not easy to manipulate when it comes to running your chosen analysis. And so now our last poll question of the day, we want to hear back. And so you're going to now see it popping up for you on your screen. Which of these areas, let's now launch it, you'll see it popping up for you. And we have different areas on the business, and we want to know back from you, which of these areas would you like to improve the most? Is it A, getting accessibility and visibility into your process? Is it B, real-time data for decision making? Is it C, insights into your cash flow and working capital? Is it D, improved supplier relationships and early payment discounts? Or is it E, compliance? So let's turn this back to the audience. We'll give everyone just about a moment or so to fill this in. I can see people are already coming back. Rachel, as a general trend, if you would have to say in general from the different companies that are coming to you with their projects, with their motivation to change their processes and to adapt, what would you say is the area of the business that companies are looking to improve the most today?
For me, it's definitely with people that we talk to on a daily basis, looking for the automation. One of the biggest problems is they just don't know, where their invoices are. They don't have access to them. And I know that you will show this in the live demo, but for me, there is something very special that sits within the Yooz platform, and that is the I always call it when I demo, a very innocent looking search box. You can type any word, anything into that search box, and Yooz will show you where any documents contain that word, and that word can be anywhere on any page of the document. So if someone is saying, what are the invoices for a particular, let's say, a branch with a particular postcode, or looking for a particular product code, anything, you type into that box, it will come back and show you all of those invoices. So accessibility and visibility for sure, but then drill down into those documents based on every single word in them is something that personally I think is a very special function that is only within Yooz.
I think that this department and the tasks in the AP world very well, because let's now close out the poll question and we'll see these very interesting results. As we can clearly see, everyone was in line with what Rachel is saying today, with A at 67% having a greater accessibility and visibility into the process, followed with a second place at 33% with B, real-time data for decision making. So very important to see this. Let's now take a look at this next section where we're really focusing on accounts payable automation and what it's helping us with, especially when we're looking at this end of the financial year and moving into the new year. And as businesses grow and as bills are piling up, AP automation can help companies manage their cash flow, ensure that they pay suppliers on time, and improve relationships, as we're focusing on today, as well as to help to detect potential fraudulent attempts on our documents. The information in AP reports can help the organization that's automating to track and improve the efficiency of the overall AP process. And it can help to provide accessibility and visibility, like we're saying, into documents with a searchable, digitally stored archive, up-to-date and real-time data thanks to artificial intelligence and OCR technologies, to automatically collect data from our invoices coming in thanks to an email capture. We have visibility into our cash flow, where our budgets are sitting, what bills need to be paid, and how much working capital we have at a given time, and the ability to pay on time and cash in on those early payment discounts. So also, we have images of invoices that are stored electronically, providing us with easy access for analysis, audits, fraud investigation, no more having to search through, like we're saying, with those challenges of our manual processes, these kind of endless filing cabinets that are building up for paper. So the question now for you, Rachel, is, okay, we're talking about areas that automation technologies can help us with. What would you say, thanks to building in and finding that balance with technology, allowing technology to kind of help us throughout the process, what would you say is the biggest area that it provides assistance with throughout the P2P process?
Yeah, for me, it's back to accessibility and visibility. When it's paper flying around business, you just don't know where anything is. You don't know the value of the invoices to the right unless you waste time kind of logging them. When you automate and you use a product like Yooz, you are the first port of call for an invoice, and everything goes out from there rather than being at the end of the process. So you just know where everything is. At the click of a button, you can see where all of your invoices are, who they're with, the value of them. So there's a huge time saving with no keying of manual data entry as well. Obviously, with PCR and extraction, there's less errors. And again, you've just got that real-time query into all of this data just at your fingertips.
That now brings us into how we increase the value with AP automation and save money. And I think everything that you're saying here, Rachel, is going to be really shown in this next slide, because we're talking about how to increase the value of AP. How can we save time and money throughout the entire process? So we can see the main bullet points up on the board, having access to those reports in real time, having that synced with Excel, having a smart data extraction, your automated general ledger coding, automatic two-way and three-way PO matching, powerful and efficient multi-channel capture engine, which we'll see in our live demo in just a moment, and easy data sharing and collaboration with key team members at every step throughout the process. Now, what we're focusing on today is getting ready for the year end. And so having automatically archived digital metadata of our invoices for up to 10 years, it really helps us throughout this process. And just before we jump into the live demonstration of Yooz, we have a quick diagram that we like to show, because this shows how the Yooz system has been broken down to really help to cater to each project, to each company looking to automate their P2P process. So you can see that we have different modules or blocks built in Yooz. And we've set it up this way on purpose because you can choose to automate the entire P2P process from raising the requisition all the way to the export of that document automatically into your ERP tool. Or you can pick and choose to automate just maybe part of the process that you and your team would like to become more efficient. For example, if you're not raising requisitions or do not need purchase orders throughout your process, you are not required to activate the purchasing module, but it's built in and available for you to activate at any time. You can also import purchase information into Yooz and then send those documents through what's called the no-touch system, where in a normal project, I would say about 80% of documents flow through this process. That means that there's no human intervention needed whatsoever. And for the last, maybe let's say 20 or so % of documents that need exceptions, it really depends on each company, as each company is different. Maybe some companies have more exceptions or workflow rules than others. But based off of those customizable rules that you and your team get to build in the platform, you can set up review steps, multiple different approvals, a payment run, a feedback step, or backs file that's created, for example, in what we call the payment run file, and then the export into that system. So without further ado, we now have plenty of time to go into our live demonstration of Yooz, where we're going to show you how the tool works, and then we're going to talk a little bit about your next steps, and we'll answer some questions. So today, when I log into my demo, I'm going to be using an example platform that I've set up. But each team, when you log into Yooz, you have the ability to set it up in the exact way that you feel comfortable. So you can click into your profile in the upper right-hand corner, and you can click into your profile. This is where you'll have access to a help center, a Yooz University, which are live sessions that we hold every couple of months to talk about our different features and functionalities that we add in. And you have your My Profile area. This is where you can change the settings, for example, set up delegations. You can change it so that the entire company has a similar theme, so that's universal. Or you could, for example, let each individual user set up and choose their theme and how they'd like their interface to look. And when I log into Yooz, I have a padlock popping up for me at the top, so I know I have a secure connection. And because this is a cloud-based tool, teams can now access using any device, anywhere, anytime. You can just, with a simple internet connection, access the tool. And we also have the free mobile application that you can download within your smartphone store. Now that you have a little bit more information about the kind of basic interface and setup of Yooz, let's go on a quick tour, as we have 4 tabs up at the top, starting with the capturing of our documents, as this is the first step of getting these documents into the system. Now, the way that this works is that with a team of project specialists that are going to help set up this project for you, they're going to, based off of your rules, create paths that your documents will then be automatically captured. Now, there are many different ways that we can set this up, but the idea is that as each team is different, the way that you receive your documents will be, we're going to try to automate that to the very fullest extent possible. This could be, for example, through an import taking place, but the most popular way that companies are automating this capture is through what we call the email capture. You can set up an unlimited number of different emails that are used, maybe a pre-existing one or one for each entity, for example. And based off of those rules, as your supplier invoices are received via email, those documents are going to be automatically captured and sent into the Yooz process. Even if you still receive sometimes some physical paper documents, no worries, because we have artificial intelligence when the document is received into the system, and we have what's called a smart split suggestion to automatically take a large batch of documents that are scanned maybe into one file, and Yooz can automatically split that for you into the system. Now, the idea is that that's going to be fully automated, but we do have this file upload area at the top where if you ever needed to, you can simply click to select a file or drag and drop any document here. You have an unlimited number of entities or companies that you can create within the Yooz system. And because this is not license-based, there's no extra charges for these companies or for users. So you can have an unlimited number of users accessing the profile, each with their own special restrictions when they log in. Now that I've logged in, I've added this company as my company I would like to select. I also have a long list of different types of documents that I can choose in Yooz to upload into the system. So we're talking about the financial year end, and we're talking about automating the P2P process. So of course, supplier documents, any type of AP document. But this is a great way that you can help and cross-reference into shared services into other departments of your company. So if, let's say, maybe, for example, an HR department wants to digitally archive, let's say, contracts or maybe resumes, CVs, they can use this tool also as an electronic document management system as well. Let's select a PO-based document in this case. We have split options that can take place. We also have additional data that can be added into our documents. So at every level, you can customize the information that's coming into the system. You could even, for example, add a highlight color so you can quickly flag that document. Now, as soon as the document is processed or captured, it goes through a process that we call using. And in the background, there's a combination of different technologies that are automatically processing this document for you and your team. First, there's an optical character recognition, or an OCR, that's scanning the document, picking up the different fields, and then populating that information. But with a basic OCR, a tool with a basic OCR cannot go further than just that. There's no intelligence or understanding that's taking place. So with what's called a smart data extraction and built-in artificial intelligence algorithms, they're acting like a human brain and acting in an intelligent way to not only populate the information, but understand the content and then treat this document in an intelligent way to send it off automatically into a workflow step that you and your team can create based off of those customizable rules. So again, during the year-end process, imagine all the time that would be taken from your team's valuable day-to-day in entering this data, extracting the information, organizing it. This is the power of this technology that's really happening in the background instantaneously while we're speaking. The using process is taking place, it's finished, and now we can click just over here into the My Tasks dashboard, which is our main area in Yooz where we'll be processing our documents. We can see that that document we just flagged together with that highlight color is popping up as 100% completed by the Yooz system. If we click into it, we can not only see that all of the properties have been filled in automatically by the system, we have the actual image of the document itself that we can hover over to see this smart data extraction taking place. We can also see that the matching automatically took place for us in the system. So Yooz was able to do the automatic two-way matching. We can also set up other reception steps for the three-way matching. You have linked documents tracked within this that you can click into to see original purchase request information, PO information. You have a built-in budget tracker. So every step along the way, you can track the initial budget, the manager, the amount that's been committed, invoiced, available amount, and percentage reached. You also have your entries that are available in the system as well. So coordinating that with, of course, your ERP system, but we also have a standard format for different teams. Now let's go back into our main dashboard. We can also submit this document and Yooz will now send it off into the respective next step. We can see Rachel Lockley, she's our approver, so we're going to send it off to Rachel. So let's go back, and now on our main dashboard, we're logged into Yooz today. We're on our dashboard. You can customize. You can set up shortcuts to raise a purchase requisition, import purchase information, set up rules to track late or blocked documents. You have an in-progress section showing us at every step along the way the traceability that you have and the visibility is there, so you can see who's responsible and what task it's waiting for in. And you also have my favorite section here, which is the completed section. Now, in this completed section, you know that in Yooz, there are built-in protections. So if the document has passed through and lands in this completed area, you know that it's passed through a built-in fraud protection, a duplicate protection. There are no anomalies or mistakes or missing areas, discrepancies in amounts found on that document. And in any case, if there is, there's a small alert that will pop up for you. So visually, you can track and see exactly where on that document there was a mistake or something popping up as mismatching. Now, this is really powerful because your team can save that time that would have been taken to do this step. Excuse me. Now, thanks to the technology Yooz has completed these documents. So let's take a look at this process. On the left side, we can click to filter the information. We can filter by organizational unit, for example. We can also filter by a document type, a supplier, or date, and Yooz will pop that information up for us. Yooz will automatically allocate our documents into our different entities or companies. So I'm logging in today, this morning. I can see that Yooz has transferred in automatically for me 8 total documents, and 6 out of 8 have been completed by the system for me. So just right off the bat, this is saving my team a ton of stress, especially working towards the end of the financial year and moving into the beginning of the new financial year. So I can see first, I can click on these 6 completed documents. I have them popping up for me here. Line by line, all of the information I need is available. So first, in this non-mandatory review step that I've set up, what I can do is I can click here, and in a batch, I can process these completed documents in 1 second automatically. But if my team needs to ever go back to double check, we have the preview option. So this is great. You can click here to have the list of documents that you're working on the left. On the right side, I'm a visual person. I love this. You can actually zoom in on the document itself, hover over all of those fields to see that smart data extraction taking place. And you can just imagine all of the time that would have been taken to fill in all of these properties that Yooz has done for us. The invoice line section, for example, let's say I'm VAT sensitive, I can go back in and double check to make sure that these amounts are correct. And again, I have my budget tracker. So we can click to select this document, or in a batch, now that we've verified, we can process our completed documents and click submit. So again, they're going to be automatically sent on to the next step. And we do have a couple exceptions here. Let's just show a quick technology that I think is really important, especially when we have those exceptions at the end of the day. Sometimes we need to maybe add in information, or we need to maybe make a split on our documents. So here we're clicking into a document and uses an alert for us why the document has not been popped up as fully complete. This is an example of the very first time I'm receiving this document. So even though it's the first time, I can see that Yooz has filled in the properties for me and made a suggestion. So all I have to do is fill in the mandatory field. And with Yooz, we go even further as far as this AI extraction. You can actually click on the document anywhere that the fields have been picked up. And you can actually extract directly the information from the document itself. You can add a new line, make a duplicate, or delete a line. And you can also use this like an Excel spreadsheet to do a calculation. You can say, okay, maybe this line plus this line at the end equals, or to save even more time, you could even hover over a whole column, hover over 2 amounts at once. You can see that Yooz will calculate that for us. Even with descriptions, I no longer have to type in information. I can just simply click into words. I could pick up a whole sentence or even a whole paragraph at once, and Yooz will help me to save even more time and cut corners on these documents. Now, I can block a document, for example, and leave a customized reason and comment why. I can link documents from within Yooz or add attachments. And so any file, this could be an image, a video, an audio file, to maybe signal some damaged goods. And those attachments will pop up for us at the top. You can also leave comments. So you could even tag someone in the system. You could tag, for example, your supervisor, letting them know that in this case you had damaged goods. And so this is great. You can even tag people and see the date and timestamp at every step. Yooz is keeping track for us in our built-in audit trail. So this audit trail is huge for companies that have that stressful time at the end of the month, at the end of the financial year. You can click in knowing that from the moment the document has been brought into the system until now, that everything is being traced for us automatically in that system. So you have all of that great audit trail information automatically traced. And because this is an all-in-one tool, you can even stay in Yooz to do anything you need, whether it be to print, download, or send this off via email. And you can see the automation taking place to send this off, even that extra file to send off to your supplier. Now that this is done, we've done all of our actions. We have built-in machine learning that was taking place where we're teaching the system. And now we have deep learning for the future, where there's a pop-up where Yooz is asking, do you want Yooz to learn this data for the next documents? You can click on yes, and then the deep learning will help you save time. And in the future, Yooz will memorize those processes. All of your documents are going to pop up for you ready to go in your export section. So here we can see for some different companies, we have exports waiting for us. And we have a statistics area to keep track of everything that's taking place for us in this system. So at the top, you can see the rates, you can see the documents, number and progress, over time, your peak periods. You can track this and send these out to your different team members for your different weekly meetings to motivate the team. And just the cherry on top, we have the search bar, where today we're really focusing on reporting. So I thought it would be great to create some reports together. So let's create a basic report based off of the yearly data that we have, because we're talking about the year. Let's go into today, into the contextual date range. Instead of the day, we're going to click the current year. And now all we have to do to create a report is click on that search button. Now, before we could save our searches, but now with Use Reports, you can click into this Reports button to create a report. We could say financial year, for example, financial year report. Give it whatever customized name you'd like. And now we have our models that you can choose from. So your team can choose, for example, document header information, exported documents from the system, your imputation and purchase lines. We have our new payment lines report, or we have our timeline report. So for example, let's click into our document header report as an example, but you can feel free to download all of these reports in 1 second. Use will prompt to download it within an Excel spreadsheet. You can double click to open that Excel spreadsheet up. And then when you open the file, all you have to do is enable our editing and log into the system. So all you have to do is just make sure there's that double security in use to make sure that your sensitive information is being accessed in the most secure way. And here we have our instant report ready for us based off of that information that I selected in Use. Of course, you can build off of multiple criteria. Today I used one based off of my current financial year. And now you can see all of the different graphs in Excel that you can go really far within this new feature. You have your charts that you can then switch around. For example, you can build in information. Let's say you needed to see your supplier code information. You can really build this, design the format that you'd like in these different tabs. You can track, for example, all of this information, whether it be the number of invoices per organization, total spent per organization, the amount evolution per organization, the number of invoices per supplier or vendor, and so forth. So let's click out of this report and let's go back onto our screen, as we now have enough time quickly to talk about the next steps. Now that we've seen a thorough demonstration of AP automation technologies, we've seen exactly the focus that we're talking about today, which is our financial year, auditing, reporting, getting the information to the right hands as efficiently as possible. So just to wrap things up here, what are some of the actions you can take based on the things that Rachel and I were mentioning today? When you leave the webinar, you should be able to put a few things into motion. Look at your current processes and data reporting capabilities. Take an audit of the entire purchase to pay process that you have currently. Make a list of the pain points and priorities that you have, from the most costly, timely, and largest areas of improvement all the way down to the minor problems. And for this use case, focus on the data and reporting that you're able to run, how long it takes, where there's gaps of missing information, for example, and then get into the implementation part of your automation project. And that's where, of course, the final step comes in, where we would love to talk. So I just wanted to pass it over to Rachel for some closing remarks. I know the importance that you and the entire Stratas team have when it comes to helping companies and to be able to help them on their automation journey. So let me just pass it over to you to kind of wrap things up.
Absolutely. So, yes, thank you very much, Shelsea, for the live demo. That was really interesting. I hope that maps to the people seeing everything that we talked about at the start and kind of really explained visually exactly how everything works. So from here, anybody who wants to have a further conversation with us, please let us know at the end. Chelsea's going to share some information about contact. If you want a one-to-one demo of the solution, or you've got questions that you want to ask, that's basically what we're here for. That's what I spend my time doing, is talking to people like yourselves about your challenges, how the solutions will help those challenges. Yes, we're here to help.
Thanks again for joining us, Rachel. We really appreciated your participation. I can already see some questions popping up in the questions area. So feel free, now's the time. If you do have questions, send them in. I'll leave our last slide up with the contact information for the Stratas team. So let's turn our cameras back on. Thank you again to everyone for tuning in to today's webinar. On behalf again of myself and the Yooz team, we're always so excited to do the webinars together with the Stratas team and the work that you guys do to help companies. It's really impressive. And so we really appreciate everything you do. So let's go now into the questions area. I see some questions that are popping up already, perhaps for the Yooz aspect or perhaps of just an AP automation in general. Now's the time to send those in. We have about a minute or so here. I can see I have just a quick general question saying, how would the implementation phase look like for a company with a basic project? I think maybe Rachel, you can, I know you're an expert in this. You've implemented a lot of different AP automation projects over the years. If you have just kind of the time to quickly give us the gist of it, what would the company kind of look at in as far as implementation?
Yeah, so we take a very consultative approach to an implementation. So we also very much follow the Yooz principles of the journey that an implementation or project takes. So there are a lot of workshops that we hold where we are teasing out the information that we're going to need to create, the best version of the solution for yourself. So all of these workshops are happening. They're at different points throughout the whole life cycle of an implementation project. We're sharing really simple Excel sheets, which is the working tool of any finance team that you complete. We then populate those into the system, and we're really sort of step by step hand holding you through every stage of the process. So we've done a lot of Yooz implementations. We're very skilled in that product and what we do. We also have subject matter experts. It's not just myself. There are other subject matter experts within the business who will sometimes recommend, well, maybe you have been doing it this way, but have you thought about this option? Because we come from that background of being in that area. So very consultative. We try and make it as much fun as we possibly can. And we look forward to hearing from you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I don't see any further questions, but of course, we're more than happy to help answer any questions that you might have, even if it's just in general about ways that automation can help you and your team. So feel free to reach out to the Stratas team. They're very happy to help you and your team get the project started. And thanks again for tuning in today. Stay tuned for our next upcoming webinars together, and feel free to leave us your feedback after today's presentation. We love seeing those 10s. It really means a lot to us. Take care, and I hope you all have a great day today. Thanks again, Rachel. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.